Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, November 30th, 2016. I'm Sarah Colvin.
And I'm Sarah Mannel.
And this is Barnstable This Morning. Good morning, everyone. You are watching Barnstable This Morning. I'm Sarah Colvin here with Sarah Mannel. I'm going to be the first to admit I have no idea what's happening on today's show.
Well, and we should let everyone know if they were watching yesterday, they might have had a hint because Dan Santos as well as Dan Wolf wished you well because you're actually leaving the show.
I am.
And you're moving on. You're going to go to the Cape Cod Community Media Center. We're very excited for you. We will miss you so much here. So we thought we would take this episode and sort of reminisce and take a look back really at your time here, because you've been here on this show for 5 years.
5 years. It's a long time. I started in August of 2011. It's just kind of amazing to think about all the things that have happened and all the time has gone by in this little basement.
And we've had a lot of fun over the years. We've put together a couple pictures for you we wanted to share with everyone just of some really fun times that we've had throughout the years. Yes, of course. How can we forget the time you got to interview Mark Ruffalo?
Oh my God. That was so awesome, and this is one of my favorite jokes to make, because he called me smart during the interview, so that's Mark Ruffalo called me smart.
We should have pulled that clip.
I know, right?
We should have, because he did. He said, he did. I remember that.
But the funny thing is I was not super familiar with Mark Ruffalo's body of work before meeting him, and I'm so glad I wasn't, because he was really handsome, and he's a really good actor. And
he's such a nice person.
He really is.
That's really what stood out to me, I think, when we met Mark Ruffalo, is that he was such a nice person, so gracious, very interested, and I really loved the fact that it didn't matter to him that we were public access. He was willing to sit down and chat with us anyway, so we're just so nice.
Absolutely, and really grateful to Scott Smith, who's the local guy who helped us make that connection with Mark Ruffalo. Heard that the celebrity was in town, said we're going to try and get that interview. And that's one of the most fun things about this job is, we might be just government access television, but step outside the box a little bit and talk to people who are here. So that was a lot of fun. I forgot all about that.
That's right. And then, of course, this is so great. I think this is you getting an award for
This was my certificate in local government leadership and management. So I went through the Suffolk University Mass Municipal Association, had an intensive master's level class. They did that in 2014, I think that was 2014, and then they did it again.
It feels like just
last
yesterday.
year.
Time
it really
flies.
does. But look at my hair.
I know. Well, and that's going to be so fun too today to see all the different hairstyles of Sarah Colvin.
So weird.
So fun to look back. What else do we have here? Let's see. Oh, this is us. We went to our annual conference.
Yes.
Do we remember when this one was?
This was in New Hampshire. So that was a couple years ago in Nashua, New Hampshire. That was really a fun time. Again, totally different hairstyle there too.
Yeah.
But this was really great. I think we didn't present at this one. We presented at the one before, but we had a good time. Really, really good times going to those Alliance for Community Media conferences and learning what the other access people were doing, and really finding that a lot of access centers look up to us, and they're really impressed that we do a daily hour-long news program.
I think it's so hard for them to understand how we make it happen on a day-to-day basis, because as you know, many news programs that happen at community or government access stations really happen maybe once a week. Not many people are doing a daily news show because we know it takes a lot of work to get together. So
absolutely.
Pretty proud of our program here.
I am too.
This is I love this because this shows you, I loved always getting out in the field and, enjoying some local thing. This, of course, was Quahog Day.
Yes, Doug the Quahog. And I always I remember when I was a radio reporter, the story I like to tell is that one day I had to cover a trash can because they had the solar trash cans, and now I'm interviewing a Quahog. But I love this picture. I've used this as my Facebook profile picture because it's hilarious.
And
we had so much fun.
It's so fun. It was a great day. And, of course, the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce has made that a great event. And I think that's one of the greatest things about this job, too, is getting out in the community, really meeting everyone out there and talking to so many different people.
Exactly. And so many people here on Cape are so interested in what's going on and really invested in our
community.
Engaged, absolutely. Yeah, we have a wonderful community.
Yeah, so fun. This, of course, how can we forget Santa stopping by?
We love that. That's a tradition. We do our Christmas Eve show every year, and we have Santa Claus stop by and wish us well. We thank Santa Claus and And it's so happy, so holiday.
I know, love it. And thank goodness Santa has said that he would be willing to come back on the show this year.
Wonderful. Yes. I'll have to tune in for that.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, and look at this. This is you out in the field. You're talking to Bruce McIntyre.
Oh, yes, of golf. And, we had a lot of fun doing these golf segments, and I still need to get back out on the golf course. Roman, the former golf instructor, I think now he works in Harwich, taught me a few things, and I remember that's actually really fun. The first drive I ever did, nailed it.
Nice.
Sarah got it on video. It was a lot of fun. So it was good.
Awesome.
We did not go to the golf course as much as we had in the past, but we have some really wonderful golf courses. And again, just showing the participation of staff here on Barnstable This Morning.
Yeah, love it. Love that everyone is involved and engaged and really believes in the mission of our program. This is fun. Well, of course, Shape the Cape. Headed out to CCYP event there. Representing Barnstable This Morning.
I think that was at Cape Cod Beer when CCYP launched its Shape the Cape survey. Again, different hairstyles. It's so funny.
It's fun to watch it change.
Doing the left Armstrong.
Yes.
Right there for that.
So fun. We've had so many great memories. This, of course, was Whole Foods opening.
Yes. Oh, I love Whole Foods. And that was so exciting. There were hundreds of people lined up outside Whole Foods to get in that day. And there's Courtney Wittenstein. Not sure if she's still working for Whole Foods, but I actually know her from back in the day. I photographed her wedding, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
But that was really fun. We did a nice, good tour of Whole Foods, and so glad to have Whole Foods in our community.
Yeah. Everyone was very excited about Whole Foods, I remember.
Yes.
And, just, again, getting out in the community, seeing things that are opening. You went to so many different events out in the field.
I know.
Is there a picture? This is great.
This was the best day ever. I mean, this is just, you never get the experience. And again, I have to thank the late Chip Bishop for helping set this up. Chip used to do communications for Barnstable Municipal Airport, and he, we lost him this year, but he helped to get us aboard the planes. Of course, this is the Wings of Freedom, the Collings Foundation Wings of Freedom Tour, and they had stopped in Plymouth before they came to Barnstable. So we were able to, Sarah Beal and I were able to get on the Witchcraft, which is the plane you see behind us. There I am on the plane. Very minimal seating in there. We had a little seatbelt. Were we wearing seatbelts?
Yeah, seatbelts on the floor.
Seatbelts on the floor. And then, we got to get up and roam around.
And open windows, right?
Totally open windows. So you see at the upper right, upper left of that picture, you could stick your head out. I mean, it was crazy.
Well, and that's what I think when we learned when we went that day, that really when in World War II, when people were riding in these planes and flying these planes, it was not a comfortable experience.
No, it was definitely, it was amazing that we flew all around the coast of Cape Cod at a low altitude, so we really got a beautiful view of the Cape. But I'll tell you something, when we went to land, I was scared.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't look out the window and it felt like you were going very fast, but an absolutely unforgettable experience.
So fun. And we have a clip now from your first ever Barnstable This Morning episode. So from
2011.
So let's take a look.
This dork.
Good morning. It's Monday, August 1st. This is Barnstable This Morning. I'm Sarah Colvin, your brand new host for the show. I'll be with you for the next hour and a half, bringing you information, insight, and perspective from the town's top decision makers. We'll be talking about the issues that affect your life as a resident or a visitor to our town of Barnstable. It's 8:55 here at Barnstable This Morning, and we're almost at the end of the show. I can't believe it, Melissa.
I know. How did it feel for you?
I'm having a blast.
Good.
It's been a lot of fun. It's really been a lot of fun.
Excellent.
So I look forward to doing this every morning.
You get to do it every day. You get to do it
excited.
again tomorrow. But we do have a few minutes to just
Melissa,
go over.
thank you for making my first day so easy.
Sarah, you made it so easy.
It's been great. I'm Sarah Colvin. This is Melissa Chartrand, and please join us every morning.
It feels like forever ago, but also just yesterday.
Isn't that funny?
So funny.
And it's funny too to see how the show has changed over time and had a little bit of iterations, like little changes have been made over time. Of course, then you were with Melissa.
Yes.
And she was, of course, working part-time here on the show, part-time in growth management. Then she went full-time in growth management. That's when I came in.
That's right.
Joined the scene. And we actually have a clip too of our first show together.
Oh, I love this.
Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, July 19th, 2013. I'm Sarah Colvin.
And I'm Sarah Mannel.
And this is Barnstable This Morning.
For the next 60 minutes, we'll talk with town leaders and decision makers.
We'll bring you news and information, all to help keep you up to date and informed,
whether you're a resident or a visitor to the town of Barnstable.
Coming up in today's newscast, we've got a water warning for residents in Centerville, Osterville, and Marston's Mills, an update on the West Barnstable shooting range, and what would Barnstable Municipal Airport have to do if the president was to come to Martha's Vineyard.
And in our forecast, a little rain might come our way this weekend. Hopefully that might cool some things down and give us an end to this hot, humid weather we've been having.
I certainly hope so.
I know.
I've had enough.
Yes.
I think most of us have. Looking forward to a little cooler. Cooler temperatures would be a good thing. In our interview segments today...
Who are those girls?
I know, right? It seems like it was yesterday that I joined the show with you, and it's been 3 years already.
I know, it's been so great to have you here, and I'm so looking forward to you continuing on. You're going to do a phenomenal job leading the show, and certainly I'll look forward to watching how it changes.
Well, thank you very much, and I will say this: I've had so much fun working with you. This is the second time I've gotten to work with you, which is really great, and gotten to learn so much. So, because of you, the show will go on. So. We also have a really funny moment that we've had together. This was a time, there's no introduction for this clip.
The committee is going to meet in the Selectmen's Conference Room right here in Town Hall. That's at 2 p.m.
Exactly. So little short agendas for those meetings today. We are here each and every weekday morning starting at 7 a.m. bringing you news, information, and interviews to help keep you up to date, informed, to get your day started off on the right foot. Did you just see that giant fly?
There it is again.
Oh my God! It's just on the camera lens, people. That is not real. Okay, so anyways, we'll be back tomorrow with more Barnstable This Morning. I'm Sarah Colvin.
And I'm Sarah Mannel.
Have a great day, everyone. Stay away from giant bugs, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 7.
You know, I'm actually kind of surprised that stuff like that has not happened more often.
I know.
With our our cameras out in the wild.
But you can see like I think the smile just started to creep onto my face when I first saw it, trying not to react. But then how could you not react? No. There was a giant bug on our screen.
Giant bug. It looked like we were being invaded by aliens or something. It was so funny.
Oh goodness.
So funny.
Goodness. Just one of the people that you interviewed on a regular basis was former town manager Tom Lynch, and we actually pulled a clip from your first interview ever with
fantastic.
Tom.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Barnstable This Morning. It's now at 10 past 7 on this Monday morning, and joining me now live on the phone, I welcome our acting town manager, Tom Lynch. Tom, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. Are you excited about your expanded format?
Very excited about the expanded format. Hopefully this is a good time for you. Don't want to get you out of bed too early on a Monday morning.
Oh, the dog does that for me. He's got to get his walk, so all ready to roll.
Absolutely. So, Tom, again, thank you so much for joining us. Let's talk a little bit about what happened at Town Council last Thursday night. Of course, some interesting decisions made in terms of the search for the position that you are now filling in town manager. I know the search subcommittee had recommended doing an internal search first, but that's not the way things ended up.
No, after considerable discussion, they decided to go to a nationwide search.
Exactly. And talk to me a little bit about your impressions of that discussion.
I think that they had heard from various constituents, and they apparently felt that they wanted to be responsive to that. I've been a part of legislative bodies and naturally worked with them for a long time, and that's one of the prerogatives that you live and die with kind of here on with various votes. So we now have the process that they've laid out, and hopefully that'll yield good results.
Absolutely, and I think what many of the councilors said was they would be very satisfied if an internal candidate was chosen, but did want to at least go through the motions and look throughout the country to see who's out there.
Right, I heard that.
Exactly. So talk to me a little bit, too, another important decision made in terms of the state's health care reform. Talk to me a little bit. It seems the council did vote in the affirmative to accept that. What does that mean for us now?
Well, this was an issue that took
So fun.
Really, and I have to say, I have to thank Tom for all of his years of service. He was really a mentor to me while he was here and had full support of the show, and it was just great. It's funny, when I started working here, John Klim was the town manager, and then we transitioned into Tom, and now we've transitioned into Mark, so it just shows how things change so much here at Barnstable This Morning. And it's funny, you mentioned earlier about how the set changes, and I was thinking about the time when Melissa and I were here. We went from doing an hour and a half to 2 hours, now we're down to 1 hour, might see some changes in the future, but we had this set that I thought was awesome. And we had these two really wildly painted chairs that I still wish I knew where they were. Julian, who was an artist over at the Geyer Barn, painted them for us, and I loved them. And when we had the iForum and we posted a thread about what would you change about Barnstable This Morning, everybody said, we hate that set, you must get rid of it. And it made me very sad.
You're kidding.
Yeah, they did not like the mod-looking chairs.
Interesting.
Oh well.
Funny.
It was funny.
It's funny what people notice and what they like and what they don't like. You've gotten to interview some really cool and interesting people over the years, not just Mark Ruffalo, but also Louise Harrison, who explain her connection to George Harrison.
She is George Harrison's sister.
Okay.
Yes.
And so how did you get to interview her?
So there was a Beatles tribute band that was coming to Barnstable High School as a fundraiser for, I believe it was the Barnstable High School Band, and it's called the Liverpool Legends. And Louise Harrison travels around with them. And the interesting thing about Louise is when George was dying, he said that what he wanted Louise to do was pass along his hug. So he gives her a hug, and so she carries a Harrison hug. And I did not get to meet Louise Harrison. My parents are huge Beatles fans. I'm a huge Beatles fan. It's very meaningful to me. So I've gotten a secondhand Harrison hug.
Nice.
But Louise was the carrier of that. So we, same thing, heard she was coming, called her up, and she talked to us. I think she was staying at the Lamb and Lion Inn on Route 6A.
And this is actually, I think, the only Beatles-approved tribute band.
Yes.
So really interesting. So we actually have a clip of that.
Good morning and welcome back to Barnstable This Morning. It's now 7:55 on this Friday morning, and I'm very pleased to welcome a very special guest. Of course, the Liverpool Legends are coming to Barnstable High School tonight, and we have now live on the phone Louise Harrison, who works with the Liverpool Legends and also is the older sister of former Beatle George Harrison. Louise, good morning and welcome to Barnstable This Morning.
Good morning. I'm just loving it here. It's wonderful. Wonderful place.
It's a little snowy for you today, Louise. We've been actually enjoying some nice mild weather, so I get a little bit of a New England winter for you.
That was very kind of you. Did you do that specially?
We did, just as a welcoming for you. So, Louise, again, wonderful to have you on the program. Talk to me a little bit about your involvement with the Liverpool Legends. Tell us about these guys.
Well, after my brother died back in 2001, I was invited to a Beatle weekend in Chicago, and I've been a guest at all kinds of Beatle events all over the last 45 or 50 years, and I'm considered as the global mum, or my nickname is the Flying Mum. So I consider Beatle people all over the world as my extended family. Anyway, while I was there was a Beatle band performing, and when the young man who was playing George came on towards the end of the show to sing While My Guitar Gently Weeps, it was only 6 weeks after my brother had died, and I hadn't been mourning for him because I knew that he was really ready to leave this planet. He was ready to get back with his sweet Lord, So, but when I saw this young man singing While My Guitar Gently Weeps, the tears just flowed down my face. I wasn't expecting that at all. And then later when I met...
And Sarah, you have worked in news on the Cape for many years, not just here at the town of Barnstable, but also at Cape Cod Broadcasting, at WQRC, and other stations.
Yes.
As well. But, one thing that you did was some really innovative programming here on Channel 18. And one of the things you wanted to incorporate was a reporter's roundtable. Was that a fun experience for you?
It was a really fun experience for me, and what I liked the most about it was that Matt Pitta and Laura Reckford both were really into doing it, and it was very exciting to have them come in and really have a discussion about what's going on in the news locally. It was great, and that was when we were doing the 2-hour show, so it was nice to have that big segment to fill. Didn't do a lot of them, but it was really memorable to me, and it was a lot of fun and very insightful to be able to talk and have a discussion with fellow news people, as you know.
Let's take a look back at the Reporters Roundtable.
Good morning, everyone.
everyone, and welcome to Barnstable This Morning's Reporters Roundtable, where we meet with members of our local press and talk about all sorts of news-making issues that happen throughout the week. Today, I welcome back Laura Reckford of the Barnstable Enterprise and Matt Pitta of Quantum Communications, 95.1 WXTK. Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning.
Morning, Sarah.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Sure. So let's start out by talking about elections. Of course, Super Tuesday took place this week. Not a huge turnout here in the town of Barnstable, but let's start by talking a little bit about Tuesday's election as well. Talk to me about your coverage.
Laura, you want to?
Well, I remember talking to Linda Hutchenreiter, the town clerk, about midday, and she said this looks to be a low turnout today. She recalled back in 2008, of course, then there were 2 contested races in the presidential primary. The town of Barnstable had about a 45% turnout for that year. This year it was more like 18% by the time all was said and done at the end of the day. I was looking at it as really, these were the diehard voters. I mean, these are the people who will not miss an election no matter what is on the ballot. They turn out no matter, because there really wasn't a lot for Massachusetts voters to do. A lot of voters may have gotten to the polls, in fact, and looked at it and said, what are these state committee men and women? Because that was really most of what you had a choice on. But it was a low turnout for the town, but no surprise there.
Yeah, I mean, the low turnout, I think, was somewhat expected, but that doesn't necessarily make it a good thing. You know, as kind of somebody who wants to see some people go and vote all the time, when you see these low turnouts for the primaries, it always makes me think that, you know, sometimes when people call our radio station and complain, I'll say, well, did you actually vote in that election? Because, you know, not to be real harsh, but I think you kind of give up your opportunity to complain a lot if you're not actually going out there to vote, even in a primary, you know, because there were choices that there were to be made there. On my ballot, in my town,
obviously having a conversation there about voter turnout.
Yes.
And such a neat experience, and I think such a great way to hash out the issues.
Definitely, really interesting perspectives, and it's nice to see the differing perspectives and the different takes. So maybe, I don't know, something to think about in the future.
Exactly. And so when we were looking over some of the fun times we had, one of the photos that we viewed was you interviewing Doug the Quahog. So we actually really wanted to pull a clip of that interview and share that with our viewers as well.
Not every day you get to interview a quahog.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Welcome.
Thank you so much
Happy
for
Quahog
coming.
Day.
Happy Quahog Day to you.
You got it. Have you ever met Doug before?
I actually have. I met him at the Arts Foundation gala.
Oh, yeah, he remembers you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So, 100 Days of Summer.
Yeah.
How does he work to prognosticate? Does he just kind of feel the vibes from the earth?
It's hard for me to tell, as I am human. And he's got this certain kind of sense and natural kind of essence of him. Maybe it's his hard shell, maybe it's his soft inner workings. I don't know what it is, but it seems to be working. It's been 8 years of Quahog Day, and the fantastic people at Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce have helped us along the way. And boy, we're excited for 100 great days of amazing weather. So
yeah,
bring it on.
100 great days, and you mentioned 100 years of the National Park Service too, which is great. Nice little coinciding number there.
It's kind of ironic. It really is. It's almost like someone planned it like that. But as we know, this is all just simply Doug the Quahog really sensing what is right in the world and letting the rest of the world know about it. Yeah.
So do we think someday Doug is going to be as big as Punxsutawney Phil?
Well, you know, that's not his goal. His goal really is to just enjoy life and move along at a positive rate and make sure that people are coming down the Cape and enjoy themselves. And if we happen to have the success as that rat called Punxsutawney, I'm joking, then we're all for it. Until then, it's Doug the Quahog for us up here on good old Cape Cod.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. What's next for you and Doug? What does he do for the rest of the summer?
Well, the rest of the summer, he's going to be all around. He's going to be outside, all over the great things going on over the Cape Cod. He'll be down the National Seashore, of course, heading down to P-Town to enjoy himself down there, heading down to Bourne or Falmouth to one of the Quahog Republic many fine restaurants. But, you know, he likes to really get out on the water, and dig in the dirt a little bit, and encourage people to eat more lobster.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny and Doug, thank you so much, and we're looking forward to 100 Days of Summer.
Oh, I think we all are, and Doug certainly is. Cheers to everybody, all right? All right.
You know what I love so much about that clip? these like Secret Service people in the back protecting Doug the quahog. They really took their role seriously.
They really did. And one of the security guards actually was T.M. Murphy, who's a writer. He lives in Falmouth, very into the Falmouth quahog scene. But he wrote a book called The Running Waves. So with his brother, that I interviewed them about on my Sunday Journal program many years ago. So it's funny to see him again. But I felt kind of bad eating chowder after that interview, though.
Right? Yeah.
Sorry, Doug.
Hey,
he was right, though.
Quahogs are good for you.
100 days of summer, I think we had 100 plus.
Yeah, we had a great summer. We had a great summer this year. And the fun doesn't really stop with chamber events. You always got out and conducted interviews at the Highness Youth and Community Center and other really fun places here in town. Let's take a look at one of the things you covered at the HYCC.
That was so fun.
And pickleball is taking off. Pickleball really had like a surge recently.
Really, it's like a combination between tennis and table tennis.
That's
what
it looked like. That's what I was going to say, but I was she might think I'm crazy.
I was trying to find the clip. We had gone. I mean, I did the whole series at the HYCC where I made Joe take me on some activities. We did the walking track. We did pickleball. There was one when they had a brief stint of doing spin classes at the HYCC, and both Joe and I got really sweaty taking a spin class, and we taped it all. It was very funny.
Is awesome. I'm going to have to track that down and pull that out from the archives.
Exactly. I love doing goofy things. I mean, it's I'm try to be serious most of the time, but sometimes it's really fun to do goofy things like play pickleball or interview a quahog or
get out on the ice. I've gone out on the ice with Joe, and I'm telling you, I cannot ice skate. For anything.
Joe doesn't like it either. We made him go out on the ice, and he was terrified, just standing there with his helmet on going. He did make me wear a helmet, though. I was not happy about that.
Yeah, and he'll never live that down because then he didn't make me wear a helmet.
I know. I remember. Never going to forget that.
Joe Izzo. And one thing we did when we were sort of pulling some of these clips and pulling some of these photos, and it was sort of a trip down memory lane. It really makes you remember, and so we did a little compilation of our own.
Oh, nice. Let's take a look. Oh, the phone's ringing. Good morning, everyone. We're back with more Barnstable This Morning. I'm Sarah Colvin. I guess we're taking a trip down memory lane. Here's a voice from the past, our former town manager, Tom Lynch. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good morning, Sarah. I couldn't help but notice, and I think you have too, this is like the hairstyles of Sarah Colvin. Every time I see it, there's another style, and I think, oh yeah, I remember that era, So you're looking forward to retirement?
Many years until retirement. It's more of a switch. So in the future, retirement, but now just looking forward to doing something similar but a little bit different. How's retirement going for you?
But you're going to be doing more for Cape Cod, what you've done for Barnstable. Is that my understanding?
Yes. That is. I'm going over to the Cape Cod Community Media Center and going to try to produce a show for them for Cape Cod. So we'll still be covering the town of Barnstable, but with a little bit more thrown in there.
Well, I think one of my biggest adjustments to retirement was not talking to you at 8:10 every Monday morning. Because we did that for 5 years. Of course, it used to be 7:10. Moved it up a little bit based on our change in format and timing. But I thoroughly enjoyed all of those conversations because I knew it was a chance to get out to the voters, things that were happening at Town Hall and things that were important to us.
Absolutely, and I think Mark has continued that tradition. We've moved his segment, so I still am feeling that a little strange on Monday mornings when we don't have our town manager first thing, but certainly that, and the Friday e-news conversations were always a good memory as well.
Well, I think one thing viewers may or may not know about you and the job that is done there is that as much as you have to talk and let people, fill all the time and keep the show moving. I always found that you were also a very good listener. So when I was talking on, and I might be talking about tax classification or the budget, and I'm going along, and I'm every now and then looking over at you, and I'm thinking to myself, is she bored with this, or am I getting too technical about this, or what's going on? And there'd be a pause, and then you would very appropriately put in a question that might say, so based on your budget theme, what's the most important thing you'll be funding this year? And I could sum up, or I could just say, oh, we're going to be funding recreation field upgrades, or we're going to be doing whatever it was. And so if I was slipping into, that bureaucratic speak that all of us who are doing this all the time can do, you were able to just pull it out, end it up, and rescue us in some ways. So I really appreciated the fact that you were a good listener.
Well, thank you for that, and it's been enjoyable for me over these past 5 years to have conversations really with all of our town leaders and continue to have those conversations and find topics that may be perceived as boring or a little hard to digest for the everyday average citizen, and really find a way to connect people with what's going on here at Town Hall, because really as I see it, the ultimate goal is to have a more engaged citizenry. That's the whole reason why we're doing this program, is to inform people about what's going on and to get them in touch with leaders like yourself and leaders like we have here in the town of Barnstable. So it's been a great experience to be able to learn about municipal government and then share that knowledge with our viewer base.
Well, and I think as viewers get used to the consistency of, you're going to be on a certain time slot and you can follow up on something, or, if questions come in during the week, you can, say, gee, I heard viewers are wondering about this. So I think it's that consistency that also achieves the goals that, former town manager John Klim set out when he wanted to use this format to engage the public more on what was going on at Town Hall.
Excellent.
Well, Sarah, best of luck, and I enjoyed working with you over the last 5 years. It was just terrific.
Thank you, and thank you, Tom. Thank you for calling in and joining us today. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure I will see you around town riding your bike.
And good luck to that other Sarah.
And that's right. The two other Sarahs that are here. They'll do just fine.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So definitely a guest you interviewed for a lot of years, and
yes.
One, like you said, that was a mentor to you.
Absolutely. And I think I counted up when Tom left how many interviews we had done, and it was something like 261 interviews over the course of the 5 years. Maybe not that many, but there were a lot of interviews with town manager Tom Lynch. So nice of him to call in.
Very nice. Thank you, Tom, for that call. And also, you covered some really fun things. One of the really cool things you covered is a project at the Marine and Environmental Affairs Department to help show kids what kind of wildlife we have here on the Cape. So here's a clip of that.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Colvin here at MEA headquarters with Amy Croto, Natural Resource Officer, and we have a whole group of critters behind us that you are going to tell us about. This is a really exciting project that you've been working on. So tell me a little bit about these animals.
Okay, so as a natural resource officer, my coworkers and I are often called out to injured animal situations. We go out and investigate them, and oftentimes those animals are then brought to Cape Wildlife. What I've noticed over the 5 years that I've been full-time as an officer is that the majority of the animals that I bring to Cape Wildlife are going to be put down. You know, it's sort of a sad thing that you come to deal with over the years, but I thought, you know, it's a shame to have these beautiful animals eventually just put into a freezer and then cremated. Well, some of them, like your coyotes and fox, will be sent off for rabies testing.
Slen Gobeil.
Good morning.
Good morning. You know, I remember about 5.5 years ago, you and I had lunch at the daily paper on West Main Street, and we were sitting at the table, and you said, "So you want to work for the town of Barnstable?" And I said, "Okay." And then the guy that was my boss at the time walked in. I was like, "Oh my God, he can't see me with Lenny."
I've been thinking about that, and I was going to mention that this morning as well. Yeah. I just want to take a minute to tell our viewers, for those of you who may not remember, we had a man by the name of Mark Mumford. John Klim was town manager, and he came to me one day and he said, "I want to do this program, and I want you to listen to a radio station in Key West, and I want you to copy what they do." So I listened to the radio station in Key West for a while, and it was a talk show, and the guy interviewed people, and John said, "Let's do the same thing." So we started a program, Barnstable Today, and Mark Mumford was the first person who hosted that, along with a guy named Kevin Friel.
Sure.
And later on, he was the weather guy. And later on, Melissa Hirsch came in, and Melissa Chartrand now, and she came in and she did it. And then we hired Mark Mumford, and he lasted about a year. And then we had Nick Cortez come in, and Nick Cortez lasted about 3 years, I believe it was.
Well, you stole him from me because I was the director at Cape Cod Broadcasting at the time, and he was my ace reporter, and he came to me and said, "I'm going to be leaving." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, that was it. And I remember, we went to that radio station to get some talent.
Right.
And then when he left, I said, where are we going to go now? Let's go back to that radio station. And I remember very well that you and I met at the daily paper, which is on West Main Street.
Yes.
And we're sitting there, we're talking about this program and how you could fit in and what you could do. And we looked up and who walked by, but your boss.
Thankfully, you know, it was more of I was interviewing a community member type of thing. But I do remember that. I'm glad you remember that moment too. Because it was a slight little moment of panic. So.
And I'm saying, oh my gosh, he knows I'm taking her away from the radio station. But he never did until you told him.
Until I told him, exactly.
And so you've been here and you've continued the tradition, and it's been wonderful. And you've done a wonderful job, and you've kept it up. And it's just a wonderful program. And I think what you mentioned earlier about the program being an informational source for the residents of the town of Barnstable and the world, because we are on the net, and it's the worldwide net, and people can watch it and listen to it and watch you.
Absolutely.
So you've done a wonderful job, and I want to thank you for all you've done, and on behalf of all the citizens of the town of Barnstable and literally hundreds of people that you've interviewed.
It has been hundreds, yeah.
It has been.
I've been going through my big long list of
done
contacts.
a wonderful job.
Well, thank you. And
so you get a pat on the back.
Thanks, Lenny.
And if you were a boy, I'd say attaboy. Is there a thing to say atta-girl? Atta-girl?
Let's not go down that road. We have had some good times together, though, Len. I think about, you know, what most memorable is, of course, the series that you were working on the Memorials of Remembrance, all the war memorials that are here around town. You did a phenomenal job on that. And then the box, the treasure box that you received. What is going on with that, by the way?
It's in the historical department, and it's now belongs to David Anthony.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Just if I could tell that story very, very briefly. Thank you for mentioning that. That was a really good project. John Klim came in one day and he said, "We have all these stones all over town of Barnstable, and they have memorial plaques on them. Who are these people, and why did we do this?" So I did the research, and we came up and we found out there's 47 of them all over town. And we've done the history. I think there are 3 people that we don't have the history about. We got all the rest. And we were showing it on Channel 18, and one day a man came in and he said, tell me about this. So I told him about it, what we're doing. He said, can I come back tomorrow? Yeah, I guess so, sure. So he came back the next day and he had a box. And it's just a typical story of this man had this box, and it was in his grandmother's attic. And so he opened it up and he said, take a look at this. There are about 150 letters that a man wrote who was in World War II, and he sent the letters to his grandmother living here in Hyannis. And his name was Orrin Keyes. They named Keyes Beach, which is C Street Beach, and they named the Keyes Beach after him. And he opened it up. His Purple Heart was there. The letters were there. And it was just an amazing story. And I really get a soft spot in my heart on Veterans Day and Memorial Day when you continue to show that program.
Absolutely. And you brought that box in and we showed it here on the air.
Yeah.
So it's been a pleasure, Lenny, and I'm sure that we will stay in touch.
Oh, we will. We will. And congratulations on your success. You've done a wonderful job. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. You've done a wonderful job doing what we intended this program to be, and that is to show the people of the town of Barnstable who are the leaders of the town of Barnstable. And that's what it's all about. And you've done a great job interviewing them. And
well,
you ought to be congratulated.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we have more to come here on Barnstable This Morning. I feel like we are going back in time.
Back to 2011. Sarah, it's so nice to be here to be able to wish you well and send you off. And, you know, Lenny and brief don't go together. I tried to get here right before he got here. When he said he was just going to be brief, I thought I won't even get some airtime to say hello. And it's been tremendous what you've done over the years here, and really happy for you.
Thank you. Well, it was so fun working with you, Melissa. We went through so many changes
sure
when you were here. We were talking about the chairs
sets,
that Julian made.
And they are at the Geyer Barns.
Are they? Okay, good. Good. We'll have to go check those out. I love those chairs. Our viewers, not so much,
right.
But we liked them.
We did like them. You even got to interview Julian about them. What was really interesting about them is that he had put titles into the chairs. And you're just such into music that I think that made it extra special.
Yes, absolutely, definitely. So much fun. And Melissa, you know, it was great working with you, and you brought the arts and culture to a whole new level here in Barnstable. And of course, we appreciate your continued support of Barnstable This Morning with the arts and culture segment.
Thank you, Sarah. And that's what was a treat for me. So I got to go from here to still being on air. So thank you.
So do you miss getting up in the morning and being
Not at all. Not at all. But everything that Lynn said and Sarah said and the Sarahs, we will miss you here. It was so interesting to watch you come in and transform Barnstable This Morning.
Thank you. And transform my hairstyle.
And transform your hairstyle, mine too.
Yeah, exactly. The short, the long, whatever. Well, Melissa, it's so good to see you.
Nice to see you, Sarah, and all the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you for stopping
I know this
by.
won't be the last our viewers and our residents see of.
Definitely not.
See of you. So
stay tuned for what's to come. Let's look at that compilation again.
Thank you.
1
It's making me teary just
me
thinking
too.
about it.
You guys did such a great job with that compilation. It's so fun to look at it kind of chronologically over the years and all the different people. It's like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. It's a lot of work, man, to put this show together.
Right, yeah, exactly. It takes a lot of time. You did an excellent job of that. One of the things that you covered was the Prudence for the Highline. They retired the Prudence.
Yes.
And before they did that, you actually got a chance to check it out.
Yeah, I did. This is one I don't remember, actually, so I'm looking forward to looking at this clip and seeing what transpired.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Colvin, and we're down here at Hyannis Inner Harbor. I'm here with Phil Scudder. He's the Vice President of Marketing for Highline Cruises. Phil, good morning.
Good morning, Sarah. Nice to be with you.
Nice to be with you as well. And we're here down at Hyannis Harbor because there's kind of an interesting phenomenon. I don't know if our viewers can see behind us, but not only is the Prudence there, but the Prudence has a twin.
Yeah, we called her the sister ship. It's the Patience, Prudence and Patience. We built Patience in the early 80s and used to run both these vessels, harbor cruising from here to the compound in Hyannis Port and back for many years.
Of course. Now the Prudence, you had a big party for the Prudence last summer, celebrating its 100 years in service. Now, it's not just 100 years in service here in Hyannis, but it's 100 years in service in her entire lifetime.
Correct. Yeah, she was built in 1911. And she had been in 100 years of continuous service. Had never been out of service since she was built. We purchased her in 1962. There had only been 3 owners of the vessel: us, Prudence Island Navigation Company, and the original builder who ran the boat in Boston for about 10 years. And she turned 100 last year. We had a nice celebration, and we had decided then we would retire her after 100 years of service.
So where is the Prudence going now?
We have worked an arrangement with Captain Stephen Pagels in Maine. He has business down east, Windjammers, and he runs cruises out of Bar Harbor with a 4-masted schooner, the Margaret Todd, and he has several little ferry boats and some shuttle runs. And he has a couple of boats that he has been using to run sightseeing trips, private charters, one of which has been the Patience. He purchased the Patience from us back in 2007.
No, so tell me a little bit about the Patience. Of course, the Prudence itself, a 100-year-old boat, a very beautiful wooden boat. The Patience is something that Highline had built in the Prudence's likeness.
Correct.
So why build a copy? Why build an exact replica?
Well, the Prudence was a classic Maine coastal steamer, and she had served the purpose very well in everything she had been asked to do. She was really embraced by the community here when we started business back in the 60s, and as we realized we needed additional vessels to operate during the heyday of the Kennedy administration and the compound, how that was so famous at that point.
Of course.
That we had brought in other boats, but then felt a sister ship to the Patience would be to the Prudence would be appropriate.
And so the both of them operated together here in Hyannis Harbor for some time.
Yep. Yep.
And the Patience then, excuse me, went up to Maine, and now she's back. So when you originally decided to retire the Prudence last year, was it your thought that you would bring the Patience back for kind of a farewell tour as well?
No, that was a spontaneous decision that we had because we couldn't find a replacement vessel for Prudence. We looked and had a couple of vessels that we made offers on. One in particular that we really wanted, a vessel down in Charleston that fell through, and there just wasn't time to bring another vessel up. So we had been talking with Captain Pagels and asked if he didn't have anything specific for Patience to do this year. He had been kind of bouncing her around through his operation up there. We would love to have her for one season, give us a little more time to find another vessel to replace Prudence in Hyannis, one that has a little more versatility. We're looking to branch out a little bit from the harbor cruises. The Kennedy compound and the mystique of the family has waned a little bit, so we'd like to get a little bit more into some catering, some private charters, luncheon cruises perhaps,
sure,
things like that. So we'd need a little more seating area and room for people to have a sit down, something to eat. but still offer the harbor cruises as well.
Now, are you looking in the replacement for the Prudence, something that has charm? Obviously, the boat we see behind us is really kind of a unique, beautiful, charming looking boat. Are you looking for something with the same kind of charm?
We would love to have a boat come in here that has some character, that would really fit with the community and with the harbor, as these two vessels have for many years. And that's a difficult task without actually going out and designing and building one, which we're not sure is a business plan that we could afford to do right now. But we're going to keep our fingers crossed, keep working hard at looking for a vessel to bring in here. And I think we will eventually find something that's appropriate.
I'm sure. So for how long will the sisters be reunited? How much longer is Prudence here before leaving Hyannis Harbor for good?
Captain Pagels is supposed to be down here within the week, maybe 10 days, to bring Prudence up to Maine. When we went up to get Patience, it took us 4 days to bring Patience down. It was a beautiful trip. The weather was great, which you need to have. You need to have a good forecast to make the trip.
So I'm guessing you're not trailering the boat. The boat is actually traveling by sea.
She's going to steam.
Here.
Yeah, she's going to steam up, and we expect to see her leaving sometime in the next probably 10 days.
I'm sure will be a little bittersweet.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. She'll actually be leaving town a little before my dad gets back from Florida, and that's probably good, because he would be a very sentimental guy to see her leaving and knowing that she's leaving after 50 years being here.
I'm sure. Well, at least we'll have the patience to remind us of the Prudence, at least for this year, until we get something bigger and better. Well, Phil, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you
so much. I've been joined today by Phil Scudder. He's the Vice President of Marketing for Highland Cruises, and behind us, of course, the sister ships, the Prudence and the Patience.
That was a really fun trip down memory lane.
I am so glad we got to do it. I think, you know, it was appropriate, and we're really going to miss you here. You have done so many great things for Barnstable This Morning. And like you were saying, Tom was your mentor. I think you have been my mentor for so long. Like I said, worked with you twice, learned so much from you. Oh no. You're best. Gonna miss you. And we wanted to give you a little parting gift as you go. I don't know, the green screen may be messing up some of the photo or the colors.
It smells good. Very holiday.
Yeah, doesn't that? Yes.
Very holiday-like. Oh,
yes.
Looks good. You can see it right there on TV. Thank you.
So yes, we're really going to miss you here at Barnstable This Morning, but we know you're moving on to great things, and
well, you're going to do an awesome job.
Thank you.
You're going to do an awesome job. So this is what I wanted to do. We're going to switch.
Okay.
So because you're going to be the host, and now I'm going to go away. I'll go down like this.
Well, Sarah, you know, best of luck to you, and we'll miss you. And now we're going to go take her out to breakfast.
All right. You're going to be a star. Thank you. Well, I guess for now, I'm Sarah Colvin.
And I'm Sarah Mantle.
Thank you all so much for watching, and I won't see you, but you'll see you.
I'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 8.